India ranks second globally as the most polluted country. Our particulate pollution increased 67.7% from 1998 to 2021 because of the PM 2.5 pollution particles, which are the smallest actually, which we track. An average Indian's life is cut short by 5.3 years. And if you live in the north of India, the reduction is close to 12 years. Now, these aren't statistics that most of you people would not have heard about. In fact, I mean, depending on where you are in India, you think either it's a problem that you have to live with, or you think it's a problem someone else has to live with. And of course, we know there's various other issues involved, government, states, all of those, etc. Right? But today we want to really discuss how to think about this problem, how to solve this problem, how to even begin to define this problem. My first guest is Roshan Shankar, who's the founder of an institution called Saroja Earth. What is it? Saroja is an institution which creates and scales market solutions to reduce air pollution through strategic R&D, open policy advocacy, and impactful grassroots work. My second guest is Mohit Berotra. Mohit is the CEO of Air Pollution Action Group, APAG, which was established in 2019 to solve the air pollution crisis in India. And my third guest is Alok Mittal, who's the founder and CEO of Indifi, a fintech platform to expand access to debt financing for India's SMEs. As human beings, we don't have the ability to, very well process change that happens to us
Long
over a
term.
long period, right? So if air pollution is affecting me, it's going to affect my kids, etc. I don't see its immediate impact right now, so I can't quantify it. And that's the problem, right? So therefore, if enough voters, if enough people, if enough citizens are not on the streets demanding a solution to this problem, politicians and political parties are not incentivized to solve for it, right? So how would you change that, Roshan, Mohit, Alok? How would you get people interested? I mean, we have all these fantastic numbers, right? 12 years lost. And every time I joke, right? I mean, in winters, when someone says, are you coming to Delhi? I half joke with them saying that, look, spending a week in Delhi means giving X number of years, whatever, months of my life up. Both of us know it's only a half joke because it's really there's some truth to it, right? But it is reality. The number of kids, the number of adults who are being admitted for respiratory illnesses, cancers, etc., continues to go up, but we are unable to correlate it to what's happening to us on a daily basis. How do we change that?
Yeah. So, Rohin, just a couple of thoughts on the conversation, right? One, I think we have to dissociate the problem from the context. Once we start to go on center-state conflicts and,
No,
federalism and all of that,
absolutely,
I
I
think that is the
agree.
context in which we live, right? That is not the problem at hand. Sure, if we were able to change that context, things change. I have seen the government's work. I have seen the government's work despite different parties being in power in center and state, right? Delhi itself has been able to do interesting stuff. They still build flyovers. That takes both the governments to cooperate. So I think there is a lot of difference between the media narrative of two governments fighting with each other versus their ability to get something done if it is important for the country, right? Now, this lack of public opinion and the ability for the public opinion to sustain through the course of the year is one of the core gaps in the psyche, right? Because that is what creates the political pressure in the first place. I think that one of the things that we need to do to get there, and it's not a hard problem, is to make granular monitoring of air pollution be available on an open platform, right? Where I can see the difference from my home versus, you know, half a kilometer away. So today, the pollution data that we get is based on very few sensors. Delhi has less than 40. And we are interpolating from all of those sensors to kind of create a granular map, but that granularity of data doesn't exist.
Yeah, and even the
Today,
sensors I was reading on Roshan's, I think, site and some of the decks, often they're placed at much higher heights. Therefore,
right.
they're not really measuring the true pollution on the ground, or they're outdated. There are various other things. Or, for example, the thing that some sensors will stop measuring at 999, right? Even though the pollution goes way above. So there's a bunch of
I
issues
also
there.
Yeah.
echo Alok's point because I've actually traveled to Beijing on work somewhere around 2014, 2015. And again, I was unfortunate to be at that time when the pollution was quite bad. And I do distinctly remember going from various parts of Beijing, and even in hotels, even in even in like offices, there was always the number in front of you. I don't think they ever tried to hide that number. It was always there, and to the best of my knowledge, it was fairly decentralized. I don't think it was fairly local. I don't think it was something at a very high central
But
level.
Alok,
So
please tell me why you think this is going to make a difference if I can know what my home's air pollution is vis-a-vis 500 meters away. What does that make a
Yeah,
difference to
yeah,
my understanding of air pollution?
yeah. So the reason is as follows, right? So there are two things. There is spatial and there is temporal. One, temporally, we discussed that all of Delhi wakes up in November and then we go back to sleep in January, right? The point that Mohit made, that in 9 out of 12 months we are poor in pollution quality. No one's talking about the WHO norms. In the rest three, we are moderate. We are still much worse than the WHO norms, right? But the public perception is, hey, this happens when the stubble burns, right? So I think there is a temporal argument to that data being available, on a continuous basis. Second is what is causing this pollution. Now, one thing that has happened well over the last 3 4 years is that multiple studies have happened which try to apportion where is pollution coming from, right? So dust, vehicles, industry, burning, right? And so if there is a uh, loose garbage being burnt in front of my house every day or every week, I have no clue today of how that is affecting me, right? And in this non-granular spatial data, my house looks the same as the 2 kilometer area around my house, and hence there is no attribution to saying, hey, I as a citizen should wake up and stop that, right? Resident welfare association should wake up. Now, if we have granular data available, then people can start to do something about it, right? If I tell you, hey, there is a polluting industry which is not complying to the government norms, right, sitting in your backyard, and that is what is taking your AQI levels to 400, whereas the rest of the city is sitting at 200, right? It gives the tool for citizens to start to act.
If you'd like to listen to the full episode, you can head over right now to the Ken and become a premium subscriber to catch up on everything else that we've discussed. Your premium subscription will also get you access to all of our long form stories, newsletters, visual stories, and all the other podcasts that we produce. Or if you want to just sample full episodes of 2 by 2 you can do that by becoming a premium subscriber on Apple Podcasts at a really great monthly price. Lastly, if you enjoyed listening to this episode, let us know by rating the podcast on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week with another exciting episode.